Top of the morning, lads and ladies. Support for the Off the Irish podcast is now brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below the waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision engineered tools for your family jewels, and you no longer need the look of the Irish with the ladies. When I tell you this is premium, I mean premium. The battery will last up to 90 minutes, so you can take a longer shave. The third generation trimmer features a cutting edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents with their advanced skin safe technology pioneered by Manscaped. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code IRISHPOD at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use the code IRISHPOD. Use the right tools and jobs to trim your pan potatoes.
And welcome back. How's everyone getting on?
Doing good.
Hey, how's it going?
So today we're joined by Bruce Thomas. Bruce, how about you introduce yourself?
Well, I'm Bruce Thomas, and I play Adler, Russell Adler in the new Call of Duty Cold War, along with several other games I've been in, and have had a long on-camera acting career. So that's who I am.
You've been doing it for a long time, and I don't think that at this point there's any slowing you down.
Oh, no.
Recently you did play Adler, which has been a big deal. People have loved the character. Some have hated him, depending on the ending they get. But
Right.
We're not going to spoil that. So this was a difficult game to make. You know, you guys were working during COVID, which was difficult for everyone. But yeah, you had different aspects. You doing the motion capture, you had to do different voice lines. And unlike most other characters in the game, where they play only parts in the campaign or multiplayer or the story, you do all of them. So it must be pretty intense.
Yeah, it is. It's nice to find the arc of Adler. Sometimes he's really cool. Sometimes he's super intense, and that was all with the help of Amanda Wyatt, our voice director, and along with the people from Raven and Trey Eric, and the companies. But it was nice to see the many levels of Adler. It was cool.
Yeah, and you know, you got to build this character from the floor up.
Yeah. Like we started 2 years ago this process here in LA. Got to fly out to Raven Studios in Wisconsin and do some military training there. But we got to build Adler from the ground up because he had never been in the game before, obviously. And so it was a very, very fun and cool process, especially coming from just a guy like me who does a lot of different genres of acting. So I do film, TV, not just games. And so all the military information that I got from the specialists at Raven Studios specifically really helped me a lot zero in on what the world of Call of Duty is all about and how to portray somebody in that world. It was really fun to find.
Yeah, and needless to say, you did a good job.
Thanks.
You know, people are loving it. Thomas over here, he did a playthrough of the game, and you know, he has mind blown at the end.
yeah. It's quite an ending. I guess we won't spoil it for people, but you know, I guess the through line is the thing to know when you're playing this game, and you discover it about halfway through, is that things are not what they seem they are.
Oh yeah.
So that's the fun. I think that's the fun part for the players.
I think a big thing is, you know, big question you have to ask yourself in the game is whether to trust your character or not. That comes into play to a lot of times.
Yeah.
Right. It's the whole mind meld of being in a big old complicated conflict like we had with all of, you know, Russia at that point, and the things and all the levels of what's at stake in real life, you know, because these guys, when we first started this project, they informed me that this is based on real life stuff. These guys actually existed, and all of this information was recently, 2014, it was declassified that these guys existed, and none of their missions were declassified. So this isn't the actual plot of what we do in the game is not truthful, you know, because they didn't They didn't declassify any of their actual missions, but the fact that they actually existed was declassified.
Mm.
Huh.
Okay, I didn't know that part.
I didn't know.
That's a bit terrifying.
Adler was based on a
Yeah.
true character. That's really interesting. Yeah.
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 Yeah. What a hell of a character. And, all done during COVID, which in itself was a
Right.
challenge. You were saying before we started, there was a point where you just went into it, and then there was a point where you just had to pull the brakes, and you couldn't even do the mocap stuff.
Well, like I said, we were doing a bunch of military training, and and really starting the ball off, doing all the foundational work, and then we started doing the motion capture scenes, actually getting into the work of the game, and then it was quickly pulled in March. We got some good stuff done in, I guess, late last year, and then early into January and February, and then we had just really gotten the ball rolling. Had built up some momentum shooting it, and then had to pull the plug. So that meant, I can't even imagine what that meant for the animators, because that just tripled their workload.
Mm.
So they had to animate everything rather than, get it from us.
Yeah, which is rough. You hear in the industry that they have a lot of work, that sometimes they'll sleep over into places to get work done, and there's a lot of unpaid hours. So something like that, especially during a pandemic, sounds pretty awful. But look, in the end, it got done, and it's probably one of the best looking games of the year. Probably it is.
In a way, I wonder. It'd be interesting to talk to the guys at Raven and Treyarch, and it may be because of the pandemic that it looks so good, because maybe people were quarantined and just spent 24 hours working on the game. But for whatever the reason, you're right. It's amazing the work they did.
Yeah, because there's less time limits. You could spend 3 days doing a bullet tracer or the sound of a shell dropping to the ground. You could just take your time on it, which is pretty rare in a lot of industries.
Yeah.
Like, yourself as an actor, things get rushed like crazy.
Yeah, they said, usually especially when you're on a movie or TV show, they'll set up the scene for, sometimes depending on the complications of the scene, they'll set it up and light it and arrange all the stunts and everything for hours.
Yeah.
And then bring the actor on set and they go, okay, go. We got 10 minutes before the sun sets, so let's get it done right now.
You have to really wonder about that. I've been on set a couple of times and seen this happen. They will spend the first 4 hours setting up the scene, do it 6 or 7 times within 20 minutes. But they're just so it's like their heart's going to stop if they don't get it done. Like, they're just really excited to get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Actors always have to be ready. Always have to be ready. That's the stressful part about being on a location and doing a film like that in a TV series, is the stressful part is having to be ready to go at a moment's notice. You'll get the knock on the trailer door when you least expect it, sometimes at inconvenient times, but you have to be ready to go all day long. And so by the end of the day, Jesus, you're exhausted just from having to be ready to go all day.
Yeah, you're always on edge. Which isn't fun.
We talk to a lot of actors, and I guess people don't give enough credit for how actually stressful the job is, because sometimes you're working paycheck to paycheck, and sometimes, 9 times out of 10 you're told no for a role. It's tough. It's
after you've invested a lot, you become, you invest the most vulnerable part of yourself. You give of yourself completely, in the hopes that you'll get hired to begin with. Right. And then, like you said, 9 out of 10 times it's no. So you have to develop a thick skin very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't take it to heart.
And don't get cynical. You can't get cynical. You have to keep it real and keep it pure and keep your heart in the job, every single job you do. You can't go, oh, well, I'm probably going to lose this. No, you can't. You have to go for every single job 100%.
But this just kind of brings me to another subject of how you got the job. We have some amazing stories from guys like James or Kamar De Los Reyes about what it was like getting picked for the role. So what's your story?
It was fairly straightforward for me. I auditioned with Ivy Eisenberg, the casting director, who I had a long history with. And then when I went into the studio, they paid me to go in and do, I guess basically you can think of it as an on-camera test. I went in the studio and put on the microphone hat, and we were doing some, by that I mean, we have actually a little stocking hat with a couple microphones mounted on the top.
Yeah.
And that's how we record in the booth sometimes, so that we're free to move around. And the fellas at Raven were there, and like I said, we just kind of honed in on, just used my voice and kind of really honed in on it. And they were thankfully, and the fun part was they were really specific about what they wanted Adler to be. And so we worked and got very subtle things and subtle changes and subtle shifts, and finally found the pocket where he lived. And I was grateful for that. And that I had found out at that session too that he was going to speak some German and Russian in the game, and they wanted me to for the audition, and I said I'm not prepared to do that, but it was really fun to do that in the game eventually.
Yeah.
So my process was very straightforward. Nothing special really happened for that one. For Halo, which we may or may not get into, but that was a little different.
Yeah. So, when James and Kamara got into it, they didn't know they were getting into a Call of Duty game. Did you know from the get-go?
Yes. I did. I'm trying to remember back exactly when I knew, but yeah, I remember.
They knew it was for a shooter. They go in, but it wasn't until they had been accepted for a role that they knew.
It wasn't. Yeah. The read with Ivy, the first read I did was not. I didn't know. I just knew it was a big combat game. And then when I did go into the studio and met the guys, then I knew.
Yeah. And did you know how big this role was going to be?
Because
you're basically the main character.
Yeah.
Like we don't play as you, but you're the main person we talk to.
Yeah, and the guy that
in our head.
He gets in your head the whole game. He's sort of narrating the story to you, and because he's coaxing the player along, especially in the part where we get Bell to retrace his steps in Vietnam, where Adler is sort of feeding
I want to
him
talk about that.
along on his journey.
I hated that mission.
It's called Red Door, that mission.
And
oh my god. I watched Thomas play that one, and it was awful. You see in the Red Door in the distance, and you're like, oh god. Because at the start you didn't realize it was supposed to be like trippy, but then
it's a little Alice in Wonderland going on. Yeah. It's strange. It really is strange. It's a little mind trip. It takes you back to the '60s and LSD and all the. But oddly enough, we actually did some of these things too in real life. We were brainwashing some people and doing some not so admirable things.
Yeah.
During the process.
The Cold War is certainly an interesting time, and it's clear why they made a game about it, or they've made so many games about it. But it's just so weird because Ireland has always been neutral, but to think that the world could have ended at any second because of Russia and the United States.
Right, and that's how I grew up as a kid. We were the generation that had to get under our desks for the nuclear fallout drills, as if that was going to help anybody.
Yeah.
Cheap, piece of plywood. You'd be fine. Would you stop?
Versus nuke. Yeah, I can't imagine what that was like growing up.
It was a constant stress. I remember that as a kid, and no kid should have to live that. But we knew it could happen at any moment of our lives, because we had those drills and we had those conversations at home at the dinner table with mom and dad, and what would we do, and the latest updates on how many missiles Russia had and how many missiles the U.S. had, and they were both facing each other, and were we getting along, and were there tensions, political tensions that were about to trip something somewhere. It was just a very stressful time.
Yeah, well, I suppose we've grown up in a much softer time. Like
Weird in different ways, but yeah, softer
yeah,
militarily.
like 9/11 happened when we were just babies, and I suppose the main combat of our lifetime has been against terrorism, and nothing else has really happened. Okay, there's been a few things, but like none come to mind.
But it was rough in Ireland in the 80s. I remember that.
Fortunately, I don't.
Yep.
But yeah, we had a rough time. It was called the Troubles. And, you know, with Brexit, they think it could happen again. Hopefully it does not.
I hope it doesn't.
Really hoping it doesn't.
Really,
Yeah.
they're thinking it may
Because
get to.
technically they'd have to put down a hard border, which is kind of like against the agreement they made. It's because we have to deal with EU rules and the UK no longer does. And it's like both sides are now obliged to make a wall if the other doesn't. So, or a border. It's awful stuff, but hopefully it doesn't come to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got a bit dark. Yeah. Have you played the game?
No, I've never played a video game.
I think you should try this one.
Yeah. Well, I have an Xbox ordered. I'm trying to find one somewhere. I'm trying all of my connections and nobody even at the companies can find them. But I'm on a list to get one. So
Seeing you like playing the game, if that ever became a video,
There's mine right behind me.
I think you should definitely consider maybe like playing the game live to an audience. I think that would be very cool. I think a lot of people would watch that.
Like I said, all of us soldiers are close from this game. We're all like family. We have a group chat. We talk almost daily. And that was Chris's idea. Chris Baines Gilbert, he plays Mason. His idea was for all of us to get online, even if we don't play. It'd be fun to see us trip and fall and fail, but to get online and play and have the fans join us.
Yeah.
Or at least do like a Twitch thing or something, or a YouTube thing where people can see us and watch us fail.
Yeah, that's one thing that was done with Modern Warfare. Some of the voice actors for that, you know, they joined certain streamers or YouTubers, and they kind of had the streamer or YouTuber help them along so they could learn while they're playing, and it helped in the promotion of the game. It was pretty interesting. I think it was the guy who played Ghost, if I'm right. I think you told me about that, Thomas.
Yeah, I think that's right.
I hope the God is right. But yeah, no, you surprised me here because you said you don't play video games, yet you've been in so many of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just that generation. I remember, you know, when I was in high school, Pong came out. That's how far back I go.
Oh,
So, you know, and it was just my younger brother, who's 9 years younger than me, started playing them, but it was just something that eluded me. I didn't really have any interest in doing it.
I suppose that's fair.
It's amazing to see how far they've come since Pong came out. Like
Oh,
to what we have today is
Cold War
incredible.
versus Pong. Come on.
It's incredible. Like,
Oh my God.
wow.
Yeah.
it truly is. I mean, when I first started doing the motion capture for Master Chief in Halo 4, when was that? That was 10 or 12 years ago. And when I first walked on the soundstage and there was televisions on the edge of the perimeter of the soundstage, and I could actually see Master Chief moving with every move I took, it just blew my mind. The technology at that point was crazy. And it's doubled since then, or if not more.
Yeah, which makes you wonder, like, where's it going? Have you ever put on a VR headset?
No, that I'm curious though.
Oh
Have
my
you?
God. Yeah, I have put one or two on, but the technology there is actually terrifying. Like you'll forget you're in VR.
I've seen
that
people.
sounds still silly, but it's true.
I've seen people react. You know, watching them react with VR headsets on. It's scary looking.
Yeah, you may give that a go sometime. Because it's amazing what they can do now. You can have haptic feedback gloves. So like if you feel like you touch off an object, it'll put pressure on your fingers to make it feel like you're holding it. Or to give it a sensation of touch. The way you move your fingers or the way it's going to move. Haptic feedback suits. So if you get shot in the game, you're going to feel like getting hit on your body.
Oh,
Like, that's terrifying.
I wonder how many heart attacks that induces.
Yearly, probably too many. But I heard there's places in the States you can go to, get in one of these suits, get the gloves, put the headset on, and just play whatever game they have to offer. That might be worth
Wow.
doing.
Yeah, that'd be something. Yeah, I'll have to try that someday.
It's amazing.
Or
how far
jumping
they've
on.
gone.
You could probably I imagine you can jump out of an airplane, do all that kind of stuff.
I'm sure it is. There's a game for everything.
Oh, that sounds.
Yeah.
So cool.
That'd be
I
fun
mean,
to do it in do one of those in one of those anti-gravity chambers where you're actually flying, where you're floating in this big huge jet stream of air off the ground, and then have a VR headset on. Oh, that'd be crazy.
I can't imagine what that would actually feel like or what that would entail, but I like
Because
it.
then you have all kinds of people shooting at you or coming down and
Yeah.
trying to kill you in midair or whatever.
Jeez, they should have you in charge of Treyarch making these ideas. Yeah. But no, I'm still amazed. You know, you haven't played video games, but you've acted in all of them. Like you've done Halo. I think you've done Halo twice, haven't you?
I've done Halo 4 and 5, and then and now the new one, Infinite,
So
which will be out
when will that be out?
next spring. It was pushed. It was supposed to be out this fall, but they wanted to work on it some more. So that was a victim of the pandemic too. I was actually in Kirkland, Washington, the weekend that COVID entered the United States and the first person died. I was sitting in a hotel room for Halo in Kirkland, Washington, and we were shooting up there. And then that was on a Saturday, and by Tuesday, 9 people had died. And so I quickly asked 343 if I could get the hell out of there. And so they obliged. They actually shot me out early and let me go home. And that was it. And then the world shut down.
It's incredible to see how much the arts have suffered because of this. You just said that, you know, Halo was pushed back. So it's like, I think only one film has come out this year since the pandemic.
Well, what like major film? Tenet.
It's very sad to see.
No offense to all the other filmmakers.
No.
Sorry, guys. But yeah, Tenet, and that failed. That failed miserably. And it was supposed to be a good movie.
Yeah, it did. I haven't read about why necessarily.
I suppose you just couldn't see it.
Maybe.
Like, even if you could, you were less likely to say like, "Oh, guys, you want to go to the cinema?" Or go with your family or so on. You know, you didn't feel safe going, so why would you go?
Yeah.
And I suppose it was a Marvel movie and you were connected to it in the first place. It'd be a bit different. But with Tenet being like this independent film, I don't know, would you?
Right. Yeah, just a bad timing on their part, just bad luck.
Unfortunately, yeah. Yeah, timing has been awful this year. Yeah. But look, we're nearly out of it. And Lord knows what happens after that.
The mad rush. I already have friends working back to work on TV series right now.
Oh, that's great.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good to hear.
They're in between takes. They have the big face shield.
Yeah.
They're being very, very careful about it. So that's cool. I think kissing scenes and stuff like that are out. Fight scenes are out. So we'll just get hopefully, it'll be crazy. It'll be interesting, but it's good to see people get back to work.
I don't know if you saw that clip from a soap opera show, but 2 of the characters had to kiss, and in between takes they swapped out the girl for a mannequin and put a wig on the mannequin, and it just
are you serious?
It looked so bad.
I didn't know that.
It looked so bad. Like it was very funny. It was just entertaining to watch, just to see what they can try to do.
Wow. Yeah, I have a buddy on a soap. I should reach out to him and see if he's doing that too. I used to do soaps.
That's amazing.
Kissing on soaps when you're young and pretty and working with a beautiful cast. That's the fun part about being on a soap. It sucks that they have to kiss mannequins.
There you go. So, yeah, I suppose you weren't always Adler. You weren't always Master Chief. You had to start somewhere. When did you start acting? And how did you get into it?
When I was 20 years old, and I was going to school down in North Carolina at Wilmington, University of North Carolina at Wilmington. I was a biology major, a marine biology major actually, and I was getting up into organic chemistry and physics and taking classes that were not very fun. So I was kind of wandering, and I had always been I'd always been a musician. I'd always been a writer, and I always had art, even though I grew up on a farm. I'd always been one of those people that delved in the arts, and so, but just didn't think about doing that for a living. Anyway, cut to a movie studio operated by Dino De Laurentiis opened up in Wilmington, and they had an open call for extras to be in their first movie. So I went down to the hotel where they were having these extra calls, and I was standing in line, and some of the people that ran the auditions pulled me out of line and said, "Hey, dude, you're the perfect size, the perfect weight to be the stand-in for our lead actor, David Keith. Would you like to do that?" And I said, "Well, what does it pay?" Because extras paid $15 a day. And so,
oh my God, I thought we were paid bad here. What do you mean it's $15 a day?
Extra, to be an extra in it. And so they said, "No, the stand-ins get 40. I said, "Done. I'm in." What do I do? So then I got to spend the next 6 weeks on the set with Martin Sheen and with David Keith and with Drew Barrymore, who ended up being friends with her and her mom. Even, you know, she was 9 years old at the time, but I befriended her mom, and I was like, eventually became like an older brother to her. Anyway, I just felt like all these crazy circus folk that worked on movies were my kind of people, and I just fell in love with the process. And I got to rehearse a scene opposite George C. Scott, who was like 3 feet from me, looking in my eyes and acting, and it just blew me away, the power of it. And so right away, Drew Barrymore's mom actually suggested that I go see her friend in New York City, Anna Strasberg, and her husband Lee Strasberg ran the actor studio. And so I did. I just packed my bags, and I'd never had been to New York, and I moved. and she took me under her wing, and I got into the Strasberg Institute and started doing plays and eventually commercials, and got into theater, on plays and theater, and then just kept going from there.
Yeah.
There's a long story, but sorry about that. But
no.
No.
Yeah, I was 20 years old.
No.
I wasn't one of those theater kids.
No.
Yeah, and there's plenty of them, and it's totally cool, and how people get into it. But it's amazing. You wanted to be in that industry. A lot of people fall into it, and thankfully, it went well for you from the get-go.
Well, it was definitely a roller coaster. I mean, it's man, it's a hard life. You know, people always tell you that, and they warn you that.
Yeah, paycheck to paycheck. It's rough.
And sometimes those paychecks are a couple years apart. So, you know, it's just tough. It's just really tough. But it's very rewarding at the same time, and partly because of that, because you survive and you have a lot of pride in surviving.
You know, a lot of people say you gotta want it to actually like stay in it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's probably not worth doing. You gotta really want it, you know.
Oh boy, you do. Yeah, you do. You do. You can't try it on and see if it works. You have to really go for it and commit to it.
You know, I'm thinking about the people right now who are only listening to this, not watching this, and what they're hearing right now is Adler talk about the struggles of being an actor. I love that so much. I have to rewatch this on audio only. Oh my God.
Well, Adler's an actor in a way. You know, he goes undercover and he pretends to be German, pretends to be Russian. He's a good actor, I think.
He's a very good actor.
Very true. Very true.
All these
Which makes
guys
you a very good actor. There you go.
Oh, thanks.
Well, I mean, like, it's probably one of the best performances we've seen in the Call of Duty game.
Oh yeah.
Like, no offense to Sam Worthington, but even when he played Mason in the first game, you know, his Australian accent slipped through a couple of times. You know, not the best. But then the way you performed this, it was just amazing. There was not one moment where I was like, there's an actor in here. It's just, as far as I know, this guy could be real. This story could be unfolding before my eyes.
That's such a compliment. Thank you. I really, really appreciate you saying that.
It was a very immersive experience, which is, I guess, what they want in games nowadays. So yeah, amazing. But you didn't only do, you didn't only do the campaign. You also did the zombies part, which is a first for Call of Duty. What was that like? Because that sounds fun.
It is fun. It's a whole, I, you know, it wasn't as immersive in production as it was doing the campaign.
I'm sure they
In other
don't have
words,
zombies on set, do they?
no, unfortunately, we didn't get to do any motion captures for Zombie. That would have been fun. But I did get to see some footage about what the world was like, go looking for the little clues and looking for weapons or looking for whatever your mission is. So it was mostly just a VO experience for that section of the game.
Yeah. And I'm assuming with the multiplayer, it was just a lot of shouting.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, and in fact, I had to deliver some gifts to my neighbors here. I live in a building, so I have my booth that we're talking to. I'm sitting in my booth right now. This is in my kitchen of my apartment, and it's a physical thing. It's 5x5. It's all soft and carpeted, and it's almost. I mean, it dulls down a lot of the sound, but at the same time, when I'm doing combat screams, those are real. Those are top of my lungs, just going for it.
Yeah.
And the people below me, and the people on both sides got a little note on their door and a little gift from me in the form of cookies to say, "This is what I do, and I apologize for a couple hours today. It's going to be, you're going to wonder what the hell's going on in the building." And the feedback was great. It was like, "Dude, do your thing." Or so the person below me said, "Oh my God, you do that for a living? That's a thing? Holy cow, that's cool."
That does sound pretty nice.
I think there's an actual war going on upstairs in your booth.
Yeah.
I remember watching a clip from Gary Oldman. He's on the Graham Norton show, and he was explaining like what it's like voice acting in a Call of Duty game. And he played the character Brezhnev in Black Ops 1 and World at War. And he said, like, for the combat sequences, it's just so much screaming at the top of your lungs. And by the end of it, you're just knackered. You're just wrecked.
You are, and soaked, by the way. I mean, it's a sweaty experience doing that. I remember
how?
Well, you're just using all of your energy. You're not running in place or anything. Sometimes you are actually, to try to get try to make yourself present in the situation. If you're running up on a soldier and trying to help them, pull them up. So yeah, you do a lot of physicality, but just that's how loudly that's how deep the emotion goes when you're yelling in combat. You put yourself there mentally first, scared out of your mind, or in Adler's case, too cool for school.
Unusually cool.
Yeah.
And, thankfully for you, when playing Adler, it was basically just your speaking voice. Now, there's a couple little things, but it's basically just you talking right now.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, it is.
Yeah, so some of your lines are amazing. Like, I don't know, the way you say Perseus, just I love it.
Perseus.
Yeah, it just sounds so menacing. Because you sound menacing, and you make him sound like the world's biggest threat, which in the game he is.
I don't like Perseus. I don't like him.
Amazing.
I never got to meet the guy that voices him, but there was some ideas about some celebrities that they wanted to get for Perseus, which I probably shouldn't say, but it was going to be exciting. I never got to meet the guy.
I mean, it didn't happen, so it's just an idea. But yeah, they do have a history of putting big stars in the games. Did they put Conor McGregor in the game?
It didn't really happen. I was told that I would probably be on the mocap stage with somebody making a lot more money than me, and to be aware of that, to be okay with that. And so I was willing to accept it, but it never happened, unfortunately.
I don't think James Burns and Sam Worthington actually met for the entire process that they were filming Black Ops 1.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, no. Now, he did meet Kamar Dallas Reyes. Those two were very close, and apparently they're still very close. And he does the voice for the villain in Black Ops 2. Was Conor? I think Conor McGregor was
Infinite
in the game.
Warfare. Yeah, he was in that one.
I think he was the villain.
And it just looks like him. I'm looking at it now. It looks exactly like him, which is terrifying. You see Conor McGregor in a video game.
Yeah. You run.
Yeah. That's
well, for Sims, they did a exact likeness for Sims as well, which I'm sure you probably read about. But and Lily, I think.
I think we're having Sims on.
Yeah, we're having Sims on.
Yeah, that's exactly who he is. Sims looks exactly like Reggie. It's uncanny.
I suppose you look a bit like Adler in all fairness. Just don't have the big blonde mop and the
the
big
sunglasses.
scars.
Yeah. They were gonna use my likeness, but I think I'm too old. I don't know for sure, but I think that's what came into it. And I think, but he does. He's a similar look than I do. He's just scarred up a little.
That must be a pretty cool feeling. Like you kind of immortalized in that game. That's one thing I love for actors. Like even if they, unfortunately, people do pass away. When they pass away, they're immortalized in these things. Like Chadwick Boseman, he's passed away. He's forever going to be the Black Panther.
Yes. And that's that's the other stressful part about being an actor is you know that whatever you are doing is going to be around forever, or as long as people have watched video. You know, you are immortalizing yourself for all time. So if you want to take on that pressure, you can, but you learn to not, because it'll drive you nuts if you think about that too much.
Sometimes I think about, a couple 100 years down the line, my great grandkids is going to be watching this podcast. And if you are, little Tommy, let me tell you, I'm so proud of you.
Little Timmy.
And, I'm so glad you're the world's first space pirate. You've truly made me proud.
Yeah, but that's one thing that is terrifying of any kind of media that gets recorded. It's out there forever. YouTube may not last forever, but it's done a decade so far. It's stuff like that's going to be there forever. As long as we consume media, whatever's here at the moment is going to stay. And, like Thomas said, 100 years from now, 200 years from now, someone could be watching anything. Someone could be playing the Cold War game. They could be playing Fallout 4 during an apocalypse. They could be playing Halo when they're in like the space age 2.0.
And when they're done, they're going to come here to this podcast and think, hey.
They'll all be coming here after all is said and done.
Or they could be drifting in space somewhere, and it just comes through space, and people, oh, what's that? Oh, click on that. So I can't even imagine how much information. You said YouTube's been up for 10 years. How many billions and billions and billions and trillions of bits of information will be floating around for all time. That's a big time capsule.
Let me take a look. I'll answer that question now. It says, estimated size of YouTube may be in some exabyte, which is 1 trillion gigabytes. 400 plus hours of videos are uploaded every minute on YouTube. 1 trillion gigabytes.
That's
a lot of video, guys.
That's a fair amount now.
An exabyte. What?
Yeah.
That's a big number. So, I suppose we're putting a little splash in that little bubble.
I'm going to be really disappointed now. We only have about maybe 100 plus hours, maybe 200 hours worth of stuff. So if my little grandson doesn't watch all our videos,
stop.
You little shit. No, right. Go to your room or something. I don't care. I'll be dead.
So have you received like a lot of press for this game? Like, have you got a lot of interviews?
No, I did one for the Washington Post. I'm scheduled to do another podcast. No, not a lot. Not yet.
I'm really surprised. Like, it's the biggest game to come out this year. We expected to spend like the next 4 or 5 months trying to book a day we could do this. And fortunately, we got to do it today. We weren't sure about it, but we got it.
Yeah. I need some more followers, that's for sure. On Instagram, I go by Mr. Bruce Thomas, so Mr. period Bruce Thomas. And then on Twitter, I'm Real Bruce Thomas, REEL Bruce Thomas. So for those listening, come join me.
You know where to find them.
I need to build an army. An army of my own.
That's what a lot of people do after these games. They kind of ride the wave of the game, and does well for them. Like James C. Burns, he's 75,000 subscribers. And,
wow.
He's not slowing down. When Cold War was announced, it got even bigger. So, you never know.
Yeah, how to capitalize on that escapes me. I'm again not from that generation who who, you know, I was thinking about this too the other day. I was talking to Julie
James is
Nathan.
older than you, I think.
He's 61.
No, oh, he's 61. He's 2 years older than.
Well, he claims to be 61. Nobody believes it, but go on.
He's looking well for a 61-year-old.
Yeah.
21.
I was talking to Julie Nathanson, who plays Sam in the Zombies part, about this. And, you know, the way I was raised on a farm, I was never raised to bring attention to myself as a Midwest boy in Michigan. It's just not something you do, right? You don't say me, me, me. And that's what this whole social media thing is set up to do. You have to think, how do I draw more attention to myself? And it's just sort of an odd thing for me to deal with. So it's a little.
I suppose the way it sits in our. Say that again, sorry?
I just have to learn how to do it.
Yeah. I suppose what helps the consciousness for myself and Thomas is, you know, it's not us being here like me, me, me. It's we're trying to get a guest on and want to hear their story and what they've been through. And like for yourself, it's what you've done in the last year, 2 years, and have a conversation about it. So we're more so like it, you know?
Right. For you guys. Yeah. Yeah. I have to find, I have to think of myself as a brand. Sort of.
Yeah. You're
disassociated.
selling yourself. When you sign up for social media, you're trying to sell yourself. That's the whole thing about it. You know?
I suppose, yeah. Well, maybe you want to be informed. You never know. There's different reasons.
Yeah.
You know, we do marketing at the moment, and that's one thing that kind of freaks me out is the way everything's built, like the way people market without you knowing they're marketing. Terrifies me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird one anyway.
How long have you guys been doing?
6 months.
About that. We
6
started during
months.
COVID.
112 interviews.
Oh, wow. You've been on it.
145 episodes.
It was we graduated from secondary school, which is like the equivalent of getting out of high school in America. We graduated, is it? I'm not sure, but we graduated out of that. We didn't actually graduate because COVID hit in the middle of it. But then we were told our exams were cancelled, and we were kind of bored with ourselves. There was 3 of us. There's only 2 of us now, but our other friend Dara, who funnily enough has gone off to be a marine biologist, he left the show.
Wow, fascinating. Good for him.
Yeah, no, he's enjoying it anyway. He had to move county and everything during COVID.
The oceans need protecting. I'm still a huge fan of the oceans and ocean work. So they need protecting. They need saviors, and so good for him.
Yeah, we try to get environmentalists on to talk about this kind of stuff. We're supposed to have 2 guys on tomorrow, but unfortunately we have to reschedule for it. You know, I think about the same time we started this podcast, I planted a tree. So it's kind of interesting every now and then to see it grow along with the channel. So
I did that boy on the farm. I remember getting a sapling from the governor's wife at the time in Michigan, and I think it was a Boy Scout thing. And so I came home and I planted it on our property, and sure enough, like it was a pine tree. So it started out a foot, and then 25 years later, the thing is a towering monster of a tree. It's beautiful.
I suppose time and patience is, a path to anything.
Yeah.
We all want things that happen pretty instantly nowadays, but you know, it kind of needs time.
That's the thing that your generation, I think, just needs to keep in mind. You know, just be patient, let things, don't be in such a hurry.
Yeah.
I think
COVID has definitely given us a chance to relax for some people.
Yeah. I think since 2000, our average attention span has gone down by 4 seconds. And that kind of, no, genuinely. And I think you can see the way that crosses with the popularization of the internet and everything, I think.
Yeah.
You definitely see that come into play.
And faster internet. I got faster internet today, and I'm so impatient for everything now. Got new Wi-Fi installed.
My kids are grown, but I remember them being on the couch in high school and not being able to put down their phone while we're watching a movie. They're on their phone checking it. And I said, well, pay attention. You're going to miss something in the film. You're going to pay attention to the film. No, it's fine, Dad. We're fine. We're good.
You know what's terrifying is they can pay attention to both.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
I guess.
So do you ever watch any of your old movies, like Legally Blonde 1 and 2?
uh, every once in a long while, if it's on, I'll stop for a sec, see what's going on. And it always amazes me the time capsule that was. It's 20 years ago, so I'm much younger. And it's a good little tight little story. It's a little fun story that people like. So
Yeah.
Nothing embarrassing about it. That's for
Oh,
sure.
God,
No.
It's an honor to be in that film. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
I'd love to be in Legally
No,
Blonde.
it's an honor to be in any film, to be honest. Even like the bad ones. I know some people we've had on aren't very proud of certain films they've done, but you have to do it. As an actor, you can barely afford to say no, depending on your situation. But any story is kind of what the actors make it. You could have an amazing script and terrible actors, or a terrible script and amazing actors. It could go either way.
Well, that's the beauty, nightmare of it, is it's by nature, it's a collaborative art. So you have to trust each other.
Yeah.
Directors, DPs, photographers, producers, even, you have to trust each other's talents and hope that, cross your fingers and hope for the best.
Yeah. And
Editors especially. Editors especially.
Yeah, they've got a hard job sometimes, or easy footer. But yeah, the reason I asked is because we've had other actors on, and they say that they can't bear to watch their own stuff because of they were there, they put the hours in, and they're sick of it now.
Well,
or if they do watch it, it's to reflect or to improve on their acting methods.
Yeah. Here's I don't, whenever I do a new job on camera, I generally don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. It's still fresh in my mind, having done it, the performance from the inside, looking outward. So to see it from the outside, I don't want it to interfere with my experience of having shot it. Does that make sense? I mean, when I'm acting, when I live a part, it's really, I'm giving a part of me to that performance. And so I have that experience, and I know how I felt when I was experiencing it. And so to see it from the outside may or may not change that. So I avoid seeing it for as long as I can, and usually several years down the road. Then if it comes up, I'll actually kind of cringe for a second, go, okay, I'll fucking watch it. And then it comes on. And then I'm often, more often than not, pleasantly surprised by what I see. But that's basically my philosophy, is that I don't like to, I just want to keep the experience of having done it from the inside looking outward.
Yeah.
I have never watched one of our podcasts back. I have done 144 podcasts now, and I have not watched a single one of them back, simply because I do not want to see what I was doing during it.
I'm terrified to look at the early ones, like the first one.
Oh, Christ.
I feel like I'd actually get sick.
I'd throw up. We had terrible mics. We had no video. It was just three lads talking about stupid shit.
A little camera set up here. So what I had to do is I had to take the mic off. It's for a boom pole. And I had to get my seat really low down and plug it into the computer, lean over, and be talking like this. So there's no they couldn't see us at the time. We didn't have webcams.
I see.
But it was an awful situation. If anyone walking in, like just me down here, like, it was a sight to behold. And I'm glad not many people did.
Glad we evolved beyond that. We still get people that go, I'm checking out the first episode of your podcast, but no, check out the new one.
No, look at Bruce Thomas. That's a great one.
Sometimes I'll look back at it, I remember seeing some of the old soap stuff. By nature, the soap work is really hard to do because you're under such a time crunch. There's just you have one or two takes at the most to get the scene done, and it's a full scene. It's like 20 pages, and so, or 10 pages, whatever it is. And so, I mean, it's not perfect. It's not going to be. But and the way they light soaps is very harsh and unforgiving to begin with. It's not like a film. Films make you look beautiful and take all the glare and all the hard edges away from you and round off and soften everything about you, make you look beautiful. Soaps are just harsh. And so when you add not perfect acting and the harsh lighting, it's sometimes it's difficult to watch yourself. I remember doing Young and the Restless, and I was doing it for a summer storyline, and I would go onto the parking lot, and I was sitting in my car, just going over what I had just done. And like you said, like we talked about before, it's now out in the world for everyone to judge. I just did it. And a guy that had been doing this soap for years and years came out and said, "What's going on?" And I said, and I told him, I was just he goes, "You want to know something? Every day when I'm done with work, I come out in my car and I nearly throw up in the parking lot. And then I come to terms with what I just did. And then I let it go and I go home."
Jesus.
It's so.
Jeez, it sounds like he's doing some kind of nasty porn. But like he's doing a TV show. Like
He's just revealing himself on a TV show for people to judge and to watch every single day.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's how the stress happened for him.
You know, after hearing that, I might take it easy because there's like this English show called Coronation Street. I can't stand one of the characters in it now, but I'm actually going to go a bit easier on them.
I can't stand them either, Thomas, so that helps.
Yeah.
I'd love to talk to him, in all fairness.
Go
Fair
easy on
City.
Go
That's the
easy
one
on
that's
them.
Irish.
You know,
They're doing tough work.
Yeah, they're doing hard work, and I don't think they get the appreciation for it.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, you do a bad character once, and then people are going to associate that with you. There was a kid in Harry Potter, and he played was it in Harry Potter?
Well,
I know
okay.
there was a lad who played Malfoy. People
There you
didn't
go.
like him afterwards.
Tom Felton, but people love him now though. Tom
Yeah,
Felton's have a.
Oh no, it's the lad from Game of Thrones. He was the little kid.
Oh, the guy that played. I can't think of him now.
He was the
Joffrey.
little Joffrey. Yeah,
Oh,
that guy. I think he's finished with acting as a result.
that breaks my heart.
Yeah, people bullied this guy because they didn't like his character. And it's the idea people can't separate the person from the character.
Yeah,
Bit dodgy.
It's so unfortunate. We strive to do that. We strive to make it as believable as we can, right?
But what happens when it's too believable?
Yeah.
And sometimes people can't separate the two. Or that's one of the reasons that acting looks so easy to people. The good ones make it look really easy. And so people think, just general casual fans watching a show or a movie think anybody can do it, right?
Well, anyone can, but you need the right skill set
to be good.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's certainly a hard one, but look, Bruce, you're doing a good job, and I'm looking forward to the not Master Chief, the next Halo game to come out, because I am an Xbox guy. It'll be exclusive, as far as I know. So we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, appreciate it. Me too.
So I suppose, do you have anything you want to promote before we finish this up?
I wish I could. I have some things coming out that I can't talk about due to NDAs. That's the way the world is now. But
How about your social media?
Oh, just the social media. Yeah, Instagram and Twitter. Get it out there.
Love to
Come
hear
on
it.
aboard.
Go join them.
Make
Look,
sure
you know
to
where to find
play
them.
Call of Duty Cold War, starring this guy right here.
Adler, Russell Adler, fuck me. That's such a cool character.
Yeah.
All right,
It's
so
an
if you've
experience.
gotten this far, thanks for joining us, and hope you enjoyed.
Thank you so much. I did. I had a
Done.
great time.
Take it
Appreciate it,
easy.
guys.